I was in and out of juvenile hall. I was not your typical little girl. I learned at a very young age how to pour a drink. I learned how to weigh dope. When I grew up, my mom and dad were both alcoholics and struggled with their own demons and addictions, and my house was very chaotic. A lot of arguing, a lot of fighting, alcoholic scene. My brother and my sister were always gone, so I was the baby of the family. And so basically, I was the baby of the family and always at home with mom and dad. I got to see the bulk of their dysfunction, a lot of drinking, drug use, alcohol. It was acceptable in my family to drink and use and fight and argue, and basically there was no normal. I think what was probably the pivotal moment in my addiction was when my 3-year-old got placed into protective custody because I couldn't stop using drugs. And I had never entertained the courts in that manner before. I didn't know that they weren't gonna just give him back to me. And I was all he had, and he was all I had. And so I was up against the wall. I needed to make changes, and I wasn't sure really where to turn or what to do next. I started a series of going to day treatment programs, 30-day programs, 30 to 90-day programs. I managed to stay clean for a while. I lived a life free from the use of drugs, but I wasn't really settled. I wasn't happy. I didn't have tools to do what I needed to maintain that sobriety. My lowest point was when it was about 2011, when I lost my home. The markets were crashing, and my ex-husband was not doing well in his business and doing more drug use than actual work. And so we lost our home, we lost our cars, we essentially lost our marriage, lost our function. We couldn't really do anything but use and go on to the next thing. And I found myself separated from him, living in an apartment with my 3 kids. My older son had a lot of emotional problems and required a lot of attention, and I was too high to give it to him. I didn't care about anything. I barely made my rent. A couple of different times I struggled to even keep the PG&E on. I ended up losing my apartment and was homeless with all 3 of my kids. Found myself on the streets in Vallejo, basically driving with whatever I had in my car. That was all I had, and my kids. And that was when I knew something needed to shift, something needed to change, or I was going to lose them. I had already been down the road of CPS and with a long time prior to that with my oldest son, and I knew that that was not the direction I wanted to go with my younger 2. And I started to reach out and call people, and got led to Crossing the Jordan. Since being at Crossing the Jordan, I have learned that I have a will to live, and that I will go above and beyond and do whatever it takes to be successful and to provide for my children a life that I always wanted. And I have learned to be respectful and to love others and to be genuine, be intentional with my words, with my actions, to create results that I want. Currently, I work in the moving and storage department, and I basically dispatch trucks, schedule jobs, talk to customers, do estimates, sell jobs. I am responsible for a fleet of trucks and a crew, and I schedule not only the students that are currently in the academy that work on our moving department, but also our paid employees that work on the moving department. So my mom has been clean and sober for probably close to 15 years now, and she, about 6 years ago when my dad passed away, she quit smoking even, and she owns a very successful business online where she sells fiber. And my relationship with my mom is one that I wouldn't replace for anything. She knows exactly how to think for what my dad would say in certain moments and keeps his memory alive with that. And it's a very cherished relationship. So, yeah. No bullshit. What gets me out of bed every morning is that I get to provide for my children as a mother, and I get to do things with them that I never imagined possible before. I get to come to work and be in charge of scheduling people that possibly don't even have work skills yet, and they get to train alongside men that do and other women that do, and they get to learn how to be successful and how to generate work for themselves and gain job skills. And I get to be a part of that. And alongside that comes this wonderful life that I get to go to my son's basketball games and baseball practices, and I get to show up and I get to be present and be in their world. And that's what sets me on fire. That's what wakes me up. And coming alongside that woman that is struggling, that is on the fence and doesn't know if she wants to take on this task of changing everything about her life. Like, I get to mentor women that have only been here 2 days, or some of them that have been here, a year and a half. I get to come alongside them and show them the way and tell them what works for me. And then I get to watch them transform their life right before my eyes. And it's amazing. My name is Christina Holt, and this is my full disclosure.